What's up guys, here with the MK8.5 GTI, and we're going to do a quick 8-month owner review. So far I have about 4,000 miles in the car, so we're going to talk about stuff that I still love about the car or stuff that I don't like so much. Let's jump right in. I'll start with the good. I've driven several months of summer, fall, winter, all kinds of weather, never skipped a beat. The all-season tires, they've been perfectly fine, even in the snow and icy weather too. So for you guys in the Midwest, obviously this is a car you can daily. It's front-wheel drive. All-wheel drive might be better, like a WRX or Golf R, but still, I think this car is special in its own way and no issues with the front-wheel drive. In other words, I don't regret not getting all-wheel drive. Even for stock exhaust, you can still hear it a little bit. I don't know if it's the speakers inside the car or something, but when you step on it or you're in sport mode, you can hear a little bit of popping. Not too loud at all, but you can still hear a little bit of rumble. Something that's really cool too is the emotion start, which is what they call it. I made a separate video on this, but this is what it sounds like. And essentially what it is it starts, when you're doing a cold start, it revs it up a little bit higher and you've got some pops and bangs, nothing crazy, but it does kind of crackle and pop when you start it up. So it sounds louder than just a standard cold start. This is the S trim. I still think it's a ton of car for around 30K. Even as the base, the standard comes with a lot of the options you'd think would be kind of in the mid trim or maybe higher trim. Still love the styling and aesthetic of the car, all the body shapes and panels. I think they look really sporty, look good, aggressive, especially the front end. But the Moonstone Gray, still love this color. I'm happy I got this instead of black. Looks cleaner most of the time compared to like having a black car or a white car. And this color is just unique. In direct light, it gets pretty bright. When you're in indirect light, it gets actually pretty dark. So reminds me of like a Nardo Gray, and I just love this color. With that said, no paint issues, no panel issues, no body gap issues. Everything on the body of the car has been perfectly fine. Like everything looks great. No chipping or any weird stuff, where the panels meet. The car was built in Germany. I think from 2025 and forward, GTIs are also being built in Germany. This is a 2025. So this one was built in Germany. I don't know if that has something to do with, making it higher quality, but that's just what I hear. And, I think compared to like the Z06, which I have next to me, I think the quality on this, from all the panels, the paint, all the details, how the trim all lines up, this does feel like high quality. The stock wheels have grown on me a lot. These like 5-spoke kind of angled, I don't know, hurricane looking wheels. They've kind of grown on me. I think the offset's not so great. You can see a lot of, that's a little bit sunken in the back and the front too. So I'll probably get spacers, just see how they look, but honestly the style of the wheel kind of matches this car pretty well. It does have side folding mirrors, and those are standard, which are pretty nice. Just kind of protect your side mirrors after you park, people opening their doors and stuff. It is a standard feature, so again, just nice to have. Another thing I like and continue to like are the doors and the hatch. They have like this premium feel to them. They have a weight to them, and they seal very nicely. So it just feels like a premium car just all around when you're entering the car, closing the car. Compared to other cars in the $30,000 range, maybe a little bit less, a little more, they have like these really thin feeling light doors that have like this tin feel to them, and they don't really seal or seal sound out of the car well. It just feels cheap. So that's what I wanted to point out, is these feel kind of like premium when you're handling them. For the interior, still love the iconic plaid seating. The fabric, haven't gotten tired of it. It's very comfortable. The interior is very sleek, very clean. A lot of intentional details. One is like the armrest, very simple and functional. You can pull it out however far you want. I think this was in previous generation GTIs, but just like little details like that, very nice. Including the steering wheel in this base car, sometimes in the base models without the higher trims, they give you like a very cheap, flimsy feeling wheel. This wheel feels like a sports wheel, like almost like an aftermarket wheel. So it's got some of the ridges around, like the angles. It's got somewhat of a flat bottom. Very sporty shape. It looks like a premium steering wheel, honestly. So I was very surprised by the steering wheel and really love this interior. And again, that's on a base trim. The infotainment screen is huge. I touched on this in the other videos. For this facelift version, the Mark 8.5, they got a much bigger infotainment screen. So a lot of cool features on here, a lot of touch controls, but easy to navigate. And you can even check your oil level, which I think is pretty crazy. Maybe this is standard for German cars, but I'm not used to it, just given, I prefer the American V8s. But a lot of cool stuff, easy to reach your favorites screen. All your critical settings are there, like your windshield wipe sensors, your mirrors angling down when you reverse. You can kind of control these settings very easily by going to this one favorite spot. So I think, again, very intentional design and easy to navigate. And last thing I'll touch on, there's so many settings, I won't go through everything, but there's this ambient lighting setting, which is kind of cool. When you're driving at night, set up whatever colors you want, and you can set up like 3 different colors: your center console color, your foot area color, the door color, other trim in the interior. So ton of settings in here that I think are just nice to have. And again, you get all of them with the standard trim. I guess one last good thing I'll mention too is the miles per gallon. The cost of driving this car. I drive on the street, so non-highway driving, and I get about 29 miles per gallon. Usually 30, just depends on traffic obviously, but that's like 29 miles per gallon with traffic. If I'm just kind of cruising, no traffic, green lights, I'm getting over 30 mpg. So I think that's pretty solid. Now with all that said, I'm going to touch on some of the bad stuff. And before I go into it, none of it's really bad. It's just stuff that would kind of make this car perfect if it wasn't a thing. So first thing I don't like are these shifter paddles. I'm going to show you here. They're tiny paddles. I've never seen tinier paddles, and they're plastic. So the clicking is kind of plasticky, the feel of it. When you're in manual mode, it's also kind of like sluggish. So honestly, I prefer to drive in sport mode rather than touch manual mode, just given how like delayed it is. But the paddles themselves, they're kind of like, they don't really click well, they're plasticky, and they're tiny, so they're kind of hard to find if you're driving, spirited. I'm probably going to do something about them, like add some extensions and stuff, so I'll show you guys that in a separate video, and we'll see how that works. The other thing is keyless entry. I feel like this car's got push to start. That's like standard in almost every car now. But the keyless entry was a SE trim. So this is the S trim. To go to SE, it was about another $4,500. And you get some other stuff like speakers and sound system, whatever. But the keyless entry was like the main thing that I really wanted, because you don't want to take your key out of your pocket to have to get into the car. It's kind of annoying. So first world problems, but that's another thing, is keyless entry. I didn't want to jump almost $5,000. That would make this car almost $40K for a small hatchback, and then I'm getting into like base Mustang GT territory, So not a huge deal, but honestly, I feel like if they at least put keyless entry in the S trim, this would be the most perfect base car ever. But then nobody would really want to get the SE, so I don't know, I guess strategic. The car sounds pretty great for a stock car. You can hear the intake when you're driving just a bit, but you can always get an aftermarket open box and it'll be very loud, which I'm going to do next on this car, and I'll show you guys a thorough video on that. The last bad thing that kind of bothers me are just the exhaust tips. I wish they were a little bit larger, like Club Sport tips. The exhaust could be a little bit louder. It's not horrible. I don't think this is like something I consider bad, but like most people, I guess, I want the exhaust a little bit louder, so I'll probably do like an Axleback or Catback, either Club Sport or something like AWE. We'll see. But I'll probably go with a Sport exhaust and make a separate video on that. But like always, right, I want the car a little bit louder. That's really it. No other bad stuff. I haven't had any issues with the car mechanically or, like on the exterior or anything like that. Car's been perfect. I'm gonna do the first oil change in about 4 months here, I think, and I'll make a video on that. But everything's been perfect. No issues with the infotainment screen or electronics or anything like that. It's just been perfect to drive every day, and every day I need it, drives like I need it to. So if I were to answer the question, like, do you regret buying this or would you buy something else? I think for the price that I got this at, which was right around 30 brand new, like this is the perfect car at that price to me. So yes, I would definitely buy this car again. I don't think there's anything else that attracts me. Like WRX, I'm not really a fan of the styling. SI, I feel like this has a cleaner, sleeker aesthetic to it. And I love the 2.0 here. So yeah, I don't think there's really any other car I'd get in that price range. So short answer, I'm really happy with it and I do not regret it. I would buy it again. That's it for the video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Hopefully it's helpful for you guys thinking about buying the car or just curious about the Mark 8.5. If the video was helpful, please like, comment, subscribe. Always helps the channel out. And I'll catch you guys next time.